Hey everyone, Nvidia stock is up a whopping 219% in 2023. So with that being said, there is no way that Nvidia stock could be a buy for 2024, right? It's just gone up way too much already in 2023, so there's no chance it's a buy for 2024. Well, that's the question I'm going to answer in this video, and I think you're going to be surprised with my answer. So stay tuned and let's dig right into what makes Nvidia stock a buy, a hold, or a sell for 2024.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
So one of the first things I wanted to highlight with Nvidia is its phenomenal revenue explosion. I can't even call it growth. Look at the chart here of quarterly revenue for Nvidia going back to 2014. It was a growth stock already before 2020, but during 2020, during the pandemic, the company benefited from that trend when people were staying home and buying more physical goods, including electronics. And Nvidia experienced an excellent growth during that time. Coming out of the pandemic, for a brief moment, Nvidia experienced a decline. This is when people said, you know what, we've spent enough money on electronics, we've spent enough money on computers, we want to go out, we want to spend money at restaurants, at theme parks, for concerts and travel, and we don't want to buy things anymore. We want to spend money on experiences. And that led to Nvidia's revenue taking a big dip and big decline downward, and that caused many Nvidia stock investors to panic, as they rightfully should have. This was a troubling trend for the company. But just as things were getting really bad, the wave in artificial intelligence took hold. Rising effectiveness in AI was demonstrated popularly by the effectiveness of ChatGPT and how quickly it gained millions and millions of active users. And that caused a rush to buy NVIDIA's graphic processing units and its accelerators that help train and implement these artificial intelligence models. And you could see the straight upward path in revenue for Nvidia to 18.12 billion in the most recent quarter. Let me show you the prospects for AI going forward. So according to Statista, the market for AI is expected to show significant growth over the next decade. The AI market size is projected to rise from 242 billion in 2023 to almost 740 billion by 2030. Other estimates suggest that the market could rise to over 1.8 trillion by 2030. So not only has the AI market grown explosively in 2023, that growth is expected to last through the decade all the way to 2030. I wouldn't be surprised if it lasts all the way to 2050, given the use cases for artificial intelligence are only getting started, right? Large language models are just the beginning, and in fact, it's one of the lower value use cases for artificial intelligence. Think of all the advances in medicine you could make with artificial intelligence. Think about driverless car technology, robotics, and all of the other things that could add even more value to humanity with the use of AI. So we're just in the beginning stages of that trend. And you can argue whether or not NVIDIA is one or two or three steps ahead of the competition. Regardless of how far ahead NVIDIA is, the fact remains that NVIDIA is ahead of the competition by at least one step. And so its lead in this market that's growing rapidly in scale is poised to benefit NVIDIA stock investors, to be sure. The next thing I wanted to highlight with Nvidia is the excellent profitability. The company generated an operating profit margin over 45% in the most recent trailing 12-month period. In fact, its operating profitability and its gross profit margins are so good that I think it's a bad thing. It's so good that it's bad. Why do I say that? Well, anytime in business where you have a company that's generating profits like this, it's like an open invitation for competition. Businesses are not going to sit around and let Nvidia generate these types of profit margins without trying to take some share of this market. And already you've seen announcements from AMD, from Amazon, and others suggesting they're going to increase their product offerings to help businesses have a choice between Nvidia and maybe another offering in the market. Even if it's not as good as Nvidia, at least there will be another choice, and that other choice could hurt Nvidia because customers will say, well, we don't need to pay that premium price for Nvidia's chips. We could buy the second or third best chip, and yeah, maybe it won't be as good, but at least we won't pay as high a price, and we won't be at risk of depending on only one single supplier. So yes, Nvidia's profit margin of 46% operating profit margin was phenomenal as of the latest update. I wouldn't expect this to be the case, well, longer term. This might be the case for 2024 because competition may not be able to ramp up quickly enough. Nvidia can still capitalize on the benefits of this rising market and rising demand. But longer term, I would say between 2025 and 2030, I wouldn't expect Nvidia to generate operating profit margins above 40%. Still, anything above 20% would be great. Remember, this is mainly a hardware company. It's not a software company. It sells physical graphic processing units and other chips. And so for a hardware dominant company to generate this kind of profitability, it's excellent. It's excellent. The next thing I wanted to highlight is the company's cash generating capability. Nvidia's cash flow from operations exploded to 18.8 billion in the most recent trailing 12-month period. And I hope as you're seeing these phenomenal financial metrics from Nvidia, it's beginning to shed a story on why the stock price is up 200% in 2023. It wasn't just because of hype, right? A lot of companies are up a lot this year, some of which is due to hype without the performance to back it up. Nvidia is not one of those. Nvidia has the performance, as I've shown you, to back up that phenomenal growth in share price. And so it's not just that investors became enthusiastic about the hope or the dream of AI. That wasn't the case. It's already showing up in Nvidia's profitability, in its cash flow, in its revenue. It's already here, right? You can see it, 18.8 billion in cash flow from operations in the trailing 12-month period, more than ever before in its history, and way more than ever before, almost twice as much as any other trailing 12-month period in its history. So you can already see just in the beginning stages how much of an impact AI is having on Nvidia. The company's balance sheet is not as strong as you would expect from a company that's performing as well, but it's only because this excellent performance, this phenomenal performance, is only for the last couple of years. It's only been this explosive for the last couple of years. Nvidia has done well for itself over the last decade and 2 decades, but this is on another level. These last few years have been on another level. If it continues like this, its balance sheet is going to be in even better shape. And it's not in bad shape. It's got cash and short-term investments of 18 billion and long-term debt of 9.7 billion. Solid. It's, nothing bad about this, a good ratio. The company has been using its cash to buy back stock. I suspect it will be doing more of that. It could, if it wants to, pay down the debt. Doesn't have to. Its debt has been borrowed at lower interest rates, so it's not a burden on the company. So the balance sheet is solid, and I expect it to get better going forward. And finally, I wanted to look at its valuation, and Nvidia stock is trading at a forward price to earnings ratio of 23.79, which is, in my opinion, remarkably cheap for a company with this kind of performance. If you've been following my channel, I've shown you several companies with much worse performance trading at forward price to earnings ratios at triple or quadruple this valuation that Nvidia is trading for right now. And so, in my opinion, the combination of Nvidia's prospects and its cheap valuation does make Nvidia stock a buy for 2024. Surprisingly, right? You might say, wow, it was already up 200% in 2023, and you're saying it's a buy for 2024? I'm saying, yeah. I'm saying, yeah. The valuation doesn't look expensive considering its massive opportunity, its excellent prospects. And so, yeah, even though the stock price is up, the valuation is not that expensive because of what you're getting. You're getting so much more with Nvidia now versus what you were getting to begin the year when there was a lot of concern about demand for its products coming out of the economic reopening. Now, with the wave of AI explosively growing, the demand for Nvidia's products are much better than they were to start the year. So, surprising as it might be, I am recommending Nvidia stock as a buy for 2024. If you liked the video you just saw and you want to see more just like it, please subscribe to the channel. I can't keep this channel free without the support of viewers like you. And if you're already subscribed, thank you, and I appreciate your support.